welcome to Cozy One Podcast. My name is Shan. I am the mom of the girls, and this is season 16, focusing on dads. This is episode 2. Understand that your child needs you. Still needs you, because that's true. If you were following along last episode, which was episode 1 of the season, I talked about forgiving yourself first, and was just basically talking to dads about forgiving themselves for not being around, forgiving themselves for maybe messing up for a few years or a lot of years, whatever it is. If you didn't catch that episode, check it out. It's episode 1 of season 16 for Cozy One Podcast, and it's called Forgive Yourself First. But today is Friday, and we're going to get into a new episode. This is episode 2, and I wanted to talk about dads understanding that you're never not needed. I don't feel like there's like a late time to show up if you want to show up in your kid's life. I think it's a shame that so much time was missed, however much time was missed, because for me, even though I'm around my kids all the time, I could tell how much they've grown this week. I can tell when their facial features change. When my friends come by, they can tell. Most of the time we're noticing differences or personality differences. One of my favorite things that I like to see is their baby facial features in their face when they yawn or they laugh, or their hair is done a certain way, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's exactly how you looked when you were like 3 months, or the same yawn you did when you were like a week old. I see it. I see the face. But just to think of a dad missing all of that is such a shame. It's a shame for a dad. It's a shame that a kid did not get to experience what their father was like, just like how they might have experienced their mom all the time, or their grandparents all the time. Like, you know, what does my dad look like, you know, helping me do this? Or what does my dad look like cooking? Or what does my dad look like laughing? Or I don't even know what my dad sounds like laughing. Like, to imagine that a kid doesn't get to experience that about their father is a shame. But we don't want to wallow in it. We don't want to talk about spilt milk, because I don't like talking about spilt milk. When parents make their kids better people, kids always need you. So as a dad, your child would need you when they're babies, when they're toddlers, when they're like age 5 through 10, 11 through 18, 19, till when God takes you, or when God takes them, or when life, if you don't believe in God or you're not into religion, when life is done for them or done for you. So like, you're always needed. There is no, oh, I'll just let your mom raise you, or I'll just come see you when you're 18. You don't know the personality of your child. You're gambling time that you don't even know that you have, right? And so there is no right time to show up in your kid's life. You just need to show up. You need to deal with what you need to deal with for yourself, and you need to.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit a million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
Show up. So this episode, I'm going to tackle some things. I'm going to talk about some things, but I think it's very important that dads know that they're needed. You've always been needed socially, and confidence building is better reinforced with kids when dads are consistently around. So when you see a kid that's like socially awkward, they're probably lacking a relationship bonding foundation that needs to be there, whether their mom's not around enough or their dad's not around enough, or they don't get challenged enough to relax, or they don't have the confidence needed to, walk up to some kids that they don't know at a park and play, or they don't want to introduce themselves, or they're very shy. Most times there's a confidence building blockage that's not being fulfilled. And sometimes I think when it's lopsided parenting, where a child is more so with a mom, or more so with grandparents, or more so with their aunt or their uncle or their oldest sibling, when it comes to showing up in social spaces, they would rather not. They would rather stay to themselves. So you just have to be mindful of that. So for me, when I think about personality-wise, how a dad being around helps kids, I feel like it helps kids with trust building. It helps kids figure out what support looks like. And if you think about a father should be the first example of a man who loves you. And that's if you have a son or if you have a daughter. So if a child doesn't have the first example of a man truly loving them that is a part of them, then that's already an issue. When it comes to problem solving for kids, it's better reinforced by a man, by their dad. Because they feel like they can do it because my dad said I can do it. Yeah, my mom encouraged me, but my dad said I could do it, so I believe I can do it. And that belief in self has to come from the encouragement of someone else. And who better than their dad? When it comes to security and kids feeling safe, it comes from a dad who cares, who's consistent, who shows up, who guards, who guides. It comes from a male figure. When it comes to wisdom, the most wisdom comes from like grandparents, and then someone who's full of structure, or a leader, which is usually a dad. So just on those things alone that I talked about, imagine a child not having that, and imagine society telling that child, or you're this, or you're a punk, or you're soft, or you need to do this more, or why are you like that, or why are you acting weird? Some kids don't want to be weird. And I'm a parent where I feel like weird is not a bad thing, but some kids don't want to be awkward. Some kids don't understand why they are that way. And I don't think it's anything 100% wrong with it, but if you can't evolve out of that when you spend time around people over a period of time, then I feel like it becomes a problem. Because you start to block off opportunities to build deeper relationships with people because you're just not able to cross that bridge of what that looks like. And so when it comes to dads being around and dads understanding that they're always needed, emotionally you're needed, protection-wise you're needed, building boundaries and self-awareness within your child you're needed. I really feel like dads help with kids' purpose and finding their confidence. So as a dad, I would say that you need to mature first, to truly understand that your kid needs you. You have to mature first. You have to prepare for a pushback, because I don't know how much time you've missed. Maybe you've missed, since your child was born to age 10. Maybe you miss, 5 years of your child's life. Maybe you've missed all 18 years of your child's life. And now you're ready, but they're not ready. Now you have space, but they don't want to be in your space. Now you have time, and they got time, but they don't want to spend that time with you. And you can't be in your feelings to the point where you give up. You can't be easily flustered. You can't be more frustrated than that child is, because our children don't ask to come here. We do things to create children. And life happens. And life is going to happen regardless of you being around or not. But if you want to show up and you want to go through the process and you want to get to the good of your relationship with your children, you got to be willing to prepare for the pushback. Understand what moments you missed and how important that was for your kid. And put the shoe on the other foot. Don't say, oh, my dad wasn't around and I turned out fine. No, you didn't. A lot of people that say that did not turn out fine. No child wants to grow up lopsided. Right? And I think a lot of us take on a gamble with people thinking we could be enough, or we should be enough, or I have this help here and I have that help here. I can do it. You can do it on your own, but should you do it on your own? No. Like for me, when I had my first kid, I didn't have a kid with her dad because I thought her dad was a great father, or he would be a great father, or this. It's like I was just at a place where I felt like if I needed to do it myself and take care of her myself or him without knowing what my child was going to be, I could do it. And the reality is I could do it. I am doing it. But would it be better if I had a child with someone who was equally around as much as me? Who was equally involved as much as me? Yes, it would. And it would be better for her, but that is not the decision I made. And so I think for a lot of parents, we got to be honest with, this is the decision that I made, which is a part of the reason why my child's life is how it is. And for some people, that's a hard pill to swallow, but for me, how I can grow from that is by being honest with myself, right? And not every father is created equal. I'll say that much. But that doesn't mean you can't get better. It doesn't mean you can't grow and realize that there was some wrong in your ways of thinking. There was a lot of wrong in the choices that you made, and you're ready to make some better choices. You're ready to do some better things. And so when it comes to kids, you got to be willing to listen if they need to vent. If you've been showing up for like 6 months and your child is still giving you pushback, that's 6 months out of the 10 years you missed. That's nothing. That's 6 months out of the 18 years you missed. Okay, maybe next year. But as long as you keep letting your child know that you're not going anywhere and you'll be there, then that should be good. The best way to show growth in anyone, mom, dad, sister, brother, grandparent, all of that, is by being accountable for the truth. And sometimes the truth is something you don't want to discuss. The truth can be something you're tired of discussing. But I think when it comes to a father and child, parents have to be open to discussing things more than once, especially if they weren't around, especially if your child has like 10 years worth of questions or 15 years worth of questions. Let them question you. Be ready for them to question you. And if you feel like you're not ready to be questioned, or you feel like you're still on the defense, you're not ready to understand that your child needed you already. If you're not ready to be questioned, if you're not ready to understand that, to somebody that was around all the time, this might be irritating. If you're not ready to understand that you don't have the space, you haven't spent the time, you haven't put in the effort to be irritated by a lot of questions for the last 3 months compared to all the time that you missed, you're not ready to be in your child's life the way that you think you're ready to be in your child's life. And that's okay, because we're being honest. But if you are ready, that comes with it. If you're ready to understand that your child needs you, that comes with it. And so you have to be patient. You have to be patient about it. You got to be honest about it. You have to be open to it. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Okay? Be willing to be uncomfortable in order to get comfortable with someone who needs you, who's always needed you. Because your children need you for their life. Scientifically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Okay? So once you understand that, you'll be in the right headspace to understand where you fit in. Okay? I think it's super important for dads to teach your child how people who claim to care for them should treat them. And if you haven't been treating your child with the utmost care, but you have something to say about the people they have relationships with in their life, and you haven't been around, you're not in position to have a say on the relationships that they're trying to create, because you have not been a great example for them to understand this is what a healthy relationship looks like with someone that cares about you, cares about your future, cares about you being in the good, cares about you being safe, cares about you having opportunity and being prepared. So if you as a father did not show your child what that looks like, do not question them about people who are in their life when you weren't. Maybe that's something you can build up to and be observant about. But don't come in their life telling them what to do, dictating, who they should be with, where they shouldn't be, how they should do this. Oh, you doing it wrong. You don't know nothing about this. Oh, you don't want to listen. It's not that they don't want to listen. It's that because they don't trust who it's coming from. They still getting to know you. They don't know you. They know of you. And for whatever reason your children know of you and don't know you, you have work to do. You don't have to play the blame game of, well, your mom this, or well, your grandparents wouldn't, or well, I didn't know where. We know that. But what are you doing differently now that you know where I am? What do you want to have with me as your child now that you know where I am? Now that you say you have the time, what do you want to do? How do you want to start? What do you have to say? You have to have answers to all of those things. You have to be prepared for all of those things. So let's get into emotionally what you're ready for. Let's get into protection-wise. What are you ready for? Let's get into showing your children how to build healthy boundaries. What does that look like? Hope you guys are still enjoying this show. We'll be back after these messages. I just want to let you guys know that you can find me at shambypodden.com. If you want to support the podcast, you can check out the Cozy Womb Shop with Teespring or Mama's Cozy Closet with Teespring, where I provide merch for you, dad, the kids, or if you just want to get a mug for the mornings or the late nights, provided to you by Teespring. Also, I am a creator of 2 podcast books right now that are available on lulu.com. The Podcasting Journal, to help podcasters basically focus in on their episodes, and Marketing the Podcast by Chantal Marshall, which is me, but you could call me Shan. I appreciate it. I want to thank you guys for listening, and don't forget to share it with someone that can help someone. Now back to the show. Emotionally, to be honest, are you ready to be the bad guy? For a lot of dads that haven't been around, you have to be prepared to be the bad guy for a little bit or for a while, depending on the personality of your child. Are you ready to be hated? Are you ready to be shut out? Are you ready to hear the truth about yourself? Are you ready to hear the cries? The finger pointing? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the deep talks? Are you willing to share? All of those things emotionally you got to be prepared for, because your child needs you. When it comes to building healthy boundaries, I know a lot of you might be saying, well, how would you know? You're not a dad, or you're not in a position to know what it feels like, or you haven't been shut out. But I've been a kid with questions. I've been a teenager trying to figure out myself without knowing half of who I was. So I can give you feedback on what I needed, at those times, and not having my dad around in a way where I needed it, right? So for me, when it comes to building healthy boundaries, I feel like it starts with a father, right? And a mom. But the relationships of boundaries are guided by a man who can lead. And so you can show your child how to show up better in ways of love and consideration now, since you want to be around now, because they do need you. You can ask your child, like, what do you need from me? What can I do now that will help you with relationships, with work, with your career, with figuring out what your purpose is? What can I do going forward that will help you? Where do I need to be? This is where you can reach me. You can call me at any hour. You could call me early. You could call me late. You can text me if you don't want to talk. You could tell me when you don't want to talk. Just let me know if I'm invading your space. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not mad at you. Me not liking you is not why I didn't show up. It's probably you not liking yourself why you didn't show up. You thinking less of yourself why you didn't show up. You being scared of failing like someone failed you could be why you didn't show up. And it's not a excuse, but it could be the beginning of the truth for you. I don't know you. I don't know who's listening, but honesty is better than not saying anything. Honesty is better than giving a mediocre reason or pointing fingers. And so it's always important to be direct and clear about your child having access to you. And what does that look like? And it's very important for you to show how to build healthy boundaries by building a healthy relationship with your kid. And that starts by you not lying. And that starts by you not promising things you're not sure you'll be able to do. And if you can't say the things that you want to do, show up in the ways that you want to show up. Be around like you want to be around. Be ready for what your child needs. Be prepared to be needed. You know how a lot of people be like, well, just call me if you need help. And somebody actually calls you and they need help. And you're just like, oh my God, why did I offer? Be ready for that. And be ready to come through. And prove that you're willing to help. If they moving and they said, oh, I need help moving such and such, be there at 8 o'clock with breakfast. You know? And that's what it's going to take. You have to be okay with talking. You got to be okay with doing. You got to put in the effort to build a great relationship. And show them what it takes for someone who says that they care about them to show the effort of building a great relationship. Because a lot of people are in relationships of dead-end circles with people because they've never had someone in their life growing up show them an example of a healthy relationship that's built on consideration, care, and love between two or more people. And so they're gambling what that is with every relationship. And that's why it's super important for dads to be around, to be involved, to be the example. Protection-wise, especially for boys and girls. Are you ready to hear about what happened because you weren't around? What happened without you around in your child's life? What they went through? Sometimes it might be trauma. Sometimes it might be sexual abuse. Sometimes it might be verbal abuse. Sometimes it might be them growing up in a bad environment and feeling like they didn't have a father figure, so they went out in the environment that they lived in and they joined this gang, or they were hanging with these people and they got caught up. Now they got a case. Now they have a record. Searching for a relationship they didn't have. You got to be ready for what that looks like, what that conversation's about to be. Are you ready to see where you failed your child the same way somebody possibly failed you when you were a kid? Because if you don't do the work for yourself, someone that you love or that you help create will turn around and do the work, or not do the work because they did not have the skills, and repeat what you did because they did not have your guidance. So you always have to show up for yourself so you can show up for other people. Are you ready to be available? Okay, because once you step into your child's life, and once you start to understand that they need you, and they've been needing you, are you ready to be available? Are you ready to prioritize your child in your life? You missed showing affection to your child, which affected the way that they build their confidence. You weren't around to listen, which affected the way that they communicate with other people. You weren't around to encourage them, which is why they always think the worst before they do their best. I can go on and on and on about the ways children show that there was a relationship lacking with their fathers growing up, in their adulthood, when they're teenagers, when they're in elementary school, how they present their work, how they get dressed, how they stand up when someone says their name, how they show up for a challenge, how they make friends, how they explain themselves, how they own their actions, how they treat other people. Everything. So don't get comfortable thinking your child doesn't need you because they're 20 now, or they close to their 30s now. You ain't need me. You turned out just fine. Look at your house, look at your car, look at where you work, your kids, your husband. You don't need me. I'm just some old guy. You always needed. You're always needed. You're always needed. Right now I have 2 daughters who don't know their grandfathers. One of them, well, both of them, they won't get to know my father because my father's deceased. We talk about that often. Weird, but girls always tell me about your dad again. You know what I'm saying? But the oldest one, he doesn't have a relationship with his father, and the small discussions that we've had about it, I'm not even sure if he knows where his father is or who his father is. So that's that. And then my youngest daughter, her father tells me that, his relationship with his dad is fine, but he never talks about him. Ari hasn't met him. Ari doesn't talk about him. And I wish they did have that. So when it comes to your kids, just make sure that you're ready to be available. And I understand if you still need time. And to the fathers out there that do still need time, or you need help, or you feel like you need therapy, but you don't want to tell people that you need therapy because you don't want to be looked at like something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you if you want to go to therapy. If you want to talk to someone who may be able to provide you tools to be able to think through your thoughts, because that's basically what it is. Please go to blackmenheal.org. And on there, they offer 8 free individual therapy sessions that you can try out privately. Meaning, you do not have to tell the world that, hey, I'm going to therapy. Or, hey, I'm in therapy. You don't have to tell us. You don't have to tell social media. You don't have to tell people you went. But I promise you, if you're willing to go to therapy and do your work and take advantage of these 8 sessions, these free sessions on blackmenheal.org, it could be the start of what you need in order to have a start with your child. Another great resource to check out is focusonthefamily.com, where it provides tools and articles for fathers to help them regain a relationship with their child or gain a relationship with your child and help you understand where to start. You could go to verywellfamily.com and forerunnermentoring.com. I was researching and I found those, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So for whoever's listening, if you know a father that wants to build a healthy relationship with their children or thinks that their kid doesn't need them, please share this episode. Thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you for any feedback that you have for me. Again, you can find me at cozywomb.mama.com. Lies. cozywomb@gmail.com. You can find me at shambipodden.com. You can find me at the CZYWMB pod on IG and the CZYWMB podcast on Twitter. And you can always leave a review on any of the podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Podbean, Amazon, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to Cozy Womb podcasts. Good Pods. That's another good one that I check out every once in a while. Tell me about what you heard. Tell me if I helped. Tell me if I'm helping. I am on only, that don't make any sense. I am only on episode 2 of season 16, and I am purposely focusing on fathers who want to get back to their kids, who want to be in their kids' lives, who want to build that relationship back. And I hope I could help. I hope I provided you some insight on how you can help and how you can show up. And please don't forget that you're always needed. You've been needed, and tomorrow could be a great day to start. Tomorrow could be a great day to start doing your work first before you reach out. Tomorrow could be a great day to speak to a dad who is showing up in a way that you would like to show up in your kid's life, but you don't know how. And tonight is a great time to reflect on how your child must feel because you haven't been around. But don't get stuck in that. Do something about that. My name is Shan. I am Mama of the Girls. This has been Cozy Womb Podcast. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Stay focused. Prioritize. And make time for your kid. At least talk to your child at least once a day. And if you can't talk to your child at least once a day, write to your child at least once a day. Peace.